Hello, welcome to the Baron's Game Room. I'm Aaron as always, and my family, we really like going camping. We usually go at least 3 or 4 times a year. And actually, we have a trip coming up in just a few weeks. And when we go, no surprise, surprise, we like to bring games along with us. Now, because of this, we're often on the lookout for games that would be easy to bring along when we go out on trips like that. Usually games that are kind of smaller and travel size of sorts, because, I can't exactly be cramming and packing in a whole bookshelf of big box games to take with me, as well as looking for games that have like few to none, ideally, of like light pieces like cards and stuff like that. Because when you're playing outside, a slight breeze and all of a sudden all your stuff goes flying away. So we're regularly looking for stuff like that. And one that I kind of recently decided to purchase that I thought turned out pretty well. I covered a couple things for me. It gave me a version to play of a bigger box game that I enjoy, as well as giving me similar to a classic one, so I could teach people who aren't normally in games, but different enough to feel cool to me, is the Catan Dice Game. Unfortunately, it just came in like a clamshell, so I don't really have that around anymore. I guess you could have kept it in there, but I just started carrying around this little pouch I had. But yeah, hey, let's get into this. So the Catan Dice Game is a roll and write version of the classic Catan. It's still the same theme. You are, well, I guess I don't like the term anymore, but you are settlers who have found this island that you are trying to develop your towns and cities. The difference in this one is you are not competing on the same board for area, so it's not sort of the area control of the original one. You just have these little paper score tracker cards, whatever, that after you roll, it's basically kind of like Yahtzee, and it's one of those pressure luck dice things. Pick up the dice, roll them, pick the ones you don't want, and then re-roll those, do that a few times, and then use what you rolled to get your scores. Yeah, let's go a little more detail about it. Like I said, it's just a classic thing. You're just going to roll, see what you want to keep, and then re-roll the rest of them. What you are aiming for are these things on the side here. You can use a brick and some lumber, to build a road. And what it means by build a road, so on the island 1 side score track, there is an island 2, which I might go over in a sec. Basically, where this little arrow is, that's your starting point. Just like in regular Catan, you have to kind of go from a pre-existing areas. So from here, you can build this road, or you could build this house, but you can't build anything past these until you start extending your road out. You must have roads attached to where you're trying to build cities or claim these areas and all that to be able to claim them. But yeah, so let's go over these top bits. Alright, so as I was saying, brick and lumber give you a road. Again, you'll need to start from here and follow down. All roads are worth 1 point every time you score one of them. And building your road out is how you will gain access to more places to build houses, cities, or town cities, and claim these, I think they call them thieves, travelers, crap. It's a knight, that's what the people are. For that, you'll need an ore, a livestock, and some wheat. For those, you can turn them in, and you can end up purchasing one of the knights. You do have to purchase them in order, meaning this one first, and this one, and this one, and this, and so on and such. You can see they are worth increasingly more points as you buy more of them. Also, you'll see they have these little resource symbols below them. What that means is throughout the game, if you have claimed this person, I'll show you one that we already previously had. Once you've claimed this person, you can then on a later turn use to their resource they have in front of them to change one of your die faces. So later on, if I needed an ore and didn't have it, I could X that out like I have here and change one of my die faces to an ore. Then for brick, lumber, livestock, and wheat, we've got building a town. Towns, again, start here at 3, and they get further and higher up more points as you go around. You can only build a town if you have a road connected to it, so you can build this one right away. I could not build this one until I've already built roads to it, and I believe the rules do say you actually have to build buy these smaller ones first on the island 1 side. So I have to buy this 3 before I could buy this 4, and so on and such. And finally, for 3 ore and 2 wheat, you can build a city. They tend to be on the outer edges here, so you have to kind of build out to them, so they're harder to get because you have to have a road touching them, just like a town. but they are worth the most amount of points. But again, just like all the others, you have to start with the lowest one, so you have to buy this 7-1 first before you can buy this 12, and then so on and such. You can't just build a road all the way over to this 20 and then buy that one. All these, you are forced to kind of do it all in order, following this way around the board. And we haven't gone over for Island 1, or both sides of the game, is the gold here. One of the 6 sides of the die is gold. It does look kind of similar to ore, but it does have that little color to it. With this, you can trade in 2 gold to treat it as any resource you want. So I could trade in these 2 gold to treat it as brick, lumber, ore, livestock, wheat, whatever I want. Last part of the little square sheet I've been looking at here is up in this corner. You'll see all these boxes. You can see on an old one here, what you're doing is every turn, you're going to mark how many points you scored this turn, just in a little box like that. If you ever don't score any points, you will have to put an X. There's one. You'll have to put an X in your thing. And at the end of the game, you will add up points for everything you have here. You actually will subtract points for an X. I think it's -2. I'll double check on that for you guys. And that's how you get your final score at the end of the game. 15 rounds of rolling dice and seeing what you can score. The way you would have an X is because, like I said, you're only allowed to build kind of what you've touched to, right? So whereas roads are pretty much always an option, you can't build a town unless you have a road breaching a town space to do. Same for city and all that. So there are chances where you just won't complete one of the ones you're going for, but also there are times where you're trying for a big one and you fail, or you just don't have access to one that you ended up rolling at the time. It doesn't happen too much that you're forced to get an X. It's more forced to get an X because you tried for a city and failed, stuff like that. And one last thing for Island 1, you are allowed to build multiple things in one turn. You don't have to just build one road or one night or whatever. There are 6 dice, so it means it is possible to build, technically, if you were super lucky, up to 3 roads, or 1 night and 1 road, or 2 nights, all in the same turn. You could even, I think, do a town and a road. If you have rolled the right combination of stuff to do it, you can build multiple things in one turn. That's everything for the Island 1 side, the basic side of the Catan Dice game. Basically, you're just trying to be the person that gets, houses and settlements built, or settlements and cities just built further and further down the map, because the farther you go through the little U shape, just the more points everything are worth. But there is a Island 2 side, which is more in line with traditional Catan. You can see on this side, there's not a bunch of points all over the board like there is for Island 1. Because with this one, everything has its set amount of points that you get as you, again, progress across the board. In this one, everything scores exactly like it scores in the main game. Instead of going 15 rounds and highest score, you are simply playing first to 10 points. These little squares are how you can mark every time you get a point. Anytime you end up building a settlement, that is worth 1 point. And anytime you build a city, that is worth 2 points. So the only way to get this up is by building your roads out so you can build these settlements and cities to build your way up. This does have the longest road and largest army things, which are special requirements you could meet to get a couple extra points. However, just like in the regular Catan game, those can be stolen from you. For longest road, the first player to build roads all the way to this gray spot here ends up claiming the longest road special, which will give you 2 points. But as the game goes on, if any other player passes you, or whichever player ends up having the longest road, which is probably a regularly back and forth thing, will keep claiming this, which means whoever had it before loses these 2 points, and whoever got it next gains these 2 points. So if I got to here on my turn, and then on someone else's turn right after mine, they end up going just past it over to here, I would lose those 2 points, and they would gain those 2 points. The largest army is the first player to end up getting 3 knights. Again, once you have the largest army, you get those 2 points, and any player that ends up exceeding you ends up taking that. So if once I get 3, if someone else gets 4, then they would take those 2 points from me, and they would now have 2 points, and I would lose 2 points for largest army. So those can be traded back and forth. Now you'll notice in this one, different from the first, there's not this blank water space in the middle, as well as there's 2 knights here and 2 knights there, whereas these all have 1. What those mean are to get these spaces, to use these resource jokers as they call them, you need to buy 2 knights on this space. So buying 1 knight here will let you have access to that, or if you want to use it once per game, by the way, that's why they're X'd out on the other side. You only get it once per game. But these guys here, they can give you any one you want with the question marks. Again, there was one on the other side as well. You need to get both knights there to be able to use that once. And that really is everything I could think of to tell you guys about the Catan Dice Game. Because, like I said, it's similar enough to Yahtzee and the J6, of re-roll stuff, that it's easy for me to teach other people who aren't familiar with this game how to play it, because most people have played Yahtzee at some point. But maybe it's a weird chip in my shoulder. I don't like always playing a lot of these classic games that much. Sometimes I'm in the mood for them, but a lot of times I'm like, yeah, I've played it since I was 4. I kind of want to try something new. And this, to me, scratches the itch of doing something new, while also being a little familiar to me of being a game that I like otherwise. Because I actually do still like Catan. I think the green side is just a great way to get basic people into it. I like some of the choices you're making on, do I build another road, or do I go ahead and build this town? If I don't build a road, then I won't have options on my next turn to maybe build a settlement or a city. Do I work my way off to the side to get the city? Do I work my way around more? It doesn't have a lot, but it has enough choices to it that I enjoy. I feel like I'm actually kind of thinking through my turns a little bit and all that without being bogged down by big choices, I guess. But for those who want a little more thinking on it, then I think that's where Island 2 comes in. Because Island 2 really is just a dice version of Catan. They give this little starting point, and again, you're not competing in the sense that you're not fighting for territory like on the full-size board. But still, from there, you have to try and race your way towards getting the roads, getting the getting the towns and the settlements and all that. And in this one, I think on side 2, I did say, but you don't have to buy them in order. Since they're not point-based, you could technically buy the settlements and cities in any order you want, as long as the road touches them. That is totally fine. Doesn't really matter, since, again, there's no points going around. I think the knights are the same way. To me, it's just dice. It's just that paper. The wind can obviously blow that paper around, but it's easy just to hold in front of you, no problem. Yeah, it's a little annoying that there's only just the 1 pencil, but come on, how many games really give you enough writing utensils? You can bring your own pencils or pens along with you. So I think it's great to bring with you, because all you're really doing is rolling dice, and I certainly have been in win that's hard enough to blow dice around, but not regularly enough for that to be a problem. It's a pretty easy one to sit around and play while sitting outside and enjoying a nice day. I think it's pretty obvious. The Catan Dice Game is simple yet thinky. It's portable, yet it feels like you're playing a decent game. It is definitely bearing to prove for us.